Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on, everybody? It's your man DJ Daz, one in the place to be, representing the city of Brooklyn, chilling in Kansas City. And this is a very, very long-awaited episode of the Rap Sheet Podcast where creatives and culture meet. And I have a legend in the building. This guy really does not need an introduction, but he's going to get one. Back when I was living in Boston, I was always into hip-hop as a child, as a kid, teenager, and all that. But then I converted to being a Christian and started listening to gospel music just to switch my faith up, but still love the music that I grew up listening to. And in 96, I picked up an album called Experience. And my view on Christian hip-hop, underground hip-hop, changed at that moment because of this man and his entire organization, the movement that is the Tunnel Rats, really just opened me up to what unapologetic lyricism sounded like, and I have been riding with them for the last 3 decades. And now I've got the founder right here, and it's such a blessing to have this man and to share this unique story. So if you don't know who I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen, he's right here. He was once known as Theory. Now he is, well, he'll always be Theory. He'll always be Dax. He'll always be this incredible guy, this incredible founder. But he is undoubtedly one of the sickest barsmiths in the game. And if you have not heard We On Top yet, do your ears a favor when this is done and listen to that, because he is picked up right where he has left off. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor and a privilege to introduce to you Dax Reynosa in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Tunnel Rap Familia all day.
Hello. Can you hear me? Everything good?
I hear you perfectly. Everything
great.
Is great. How are you, sir?
Good. It's been a long day. Good.
I believe it. We won't take too much of your time. I'm just going to have you for 30, 40 minutes at the most. But I really wanted to share this platform with you so you can just speak and move how you want to move, and really just tell us how the Tunnel Rats became what the Tunnel Rats became, for those that aren't familiar with you guys. And we'll just start from the beginning. Before we even get into Tunnel Rats, when did you first fall in love with hip-hop culture?
I had to be, when I first started, I first heard rap music when I was young. I mean, very young, like 10, 11 years old. And I remember hearing it, but I didn't become truly, really familiar with it till the early 80s. Mm-hmm. At that time in the West Coast, in LA, they used to have these Friday night dances. For the schools, for high schools. And then Friday nights they would have a dance. And so you go to the park or the gym. And so just long story short, our first dip into the hip hop was b-boying, like popping and breaking was first. And we would battle, me and my cousins. It was my cousin Vincent and my cousin Albert. We would battle at these dances. And it translated into some rap music. There was some footage just was posted. I think it was like 1984. Like we were on 84. Yeah, we were on stage rapping. When we started rapping, it was called Cousin 3. It was just me and my 2 cousins. And there was only a handful of people. I mean, there was the guys in LA, and then there was the guys, just a handful of guys in different spots that were actually doing it. There was this place called Radiotron that existed. And that was going on at the same time. It stemmed from the radio and then moved to Radiotron. And that's where, at the time, it was MC Sim, but then MC Scroller, when he became a believer, we met him and his group called JC and the Boys, mid-'80s, something like that. I want to say mid-'80s. And you have to double check my dates, because I don't have a clear recollection of those dates, but it was like mid-'80s, I want to say. When I met David, it was at that time. So we started, my love for hip hop started very young. I would say, like, fell in love when I was like 13, right. 14, 15. It was like, we were done.
For those that just tuned in, he just mentioned Radiotron, and this is very, very synopsis with Radiotron. This movie has a lot to do with Radiotron. Salute to Ice-T and Shabba Do, rest in peace. Great location. The vibe of that when the movie caught those scenes, I was just looking around to see the graffiti on the walls and the style of dress. It was just in a very potent time for the culture. So salute to.
Well, there's a new documentary coming out about it's, as a matter of fact, they sent me the some edits to look at. Cuba Gooding Jr., Pauly Shore used to we're all the same age. And they would be there. They would go there. Dre obviously is a little bit older, but he was in a DJ crew called the World Class Wrecking Crew. Yep. He would go there. But at that time, there's a movie coming out about it, a documentary. It's called Running the Radiotron. It's about the life of David Guzman and that whole time and that whole era. It's incredible. When you guys see it, it's basically West Coast hip hop. That's basically where it started. Anybody who was anything. It was at a place called the Radio first, and the Radio was a club. That's where they found Madonna. I mean, it was called the Radio. And then during the day, I think they leased it, or they allowed this man to use it, and he was helping the community. He was a dancer, and he taught tap and classical dance. And then they allowed him to use it, and then David Guzman came around. You guys will see the documentary. It's really worth seeing to understand where West Coast hip hop came from and West Coast b-boy came from. So we come from that world, but I couldn't tell you where my cousin Journey first. I don't know I don't think we ever spoke about it, where he first heard or fell in love with hip hop. We just did it. Because my memory was, I mean, we're family, right? We're cousins.
Right.
So me and my cousin Vincent and Albert, we were just cousins. So we just, as far as my furthest recollection was, we just were b-boying, and then we started rapping. And at the time, there was barely any rap anywhere. Like, there wasn't even a radio station yet. KDAY came out after, but at that time there wasn't anything yet. When my first recollection, there wasn't anything yet. And then and then it started becoming a little bit, KDAY and some underground stations, stuff like that. And then it's interesting is, I mean, we couldn't drive at the time. I mean, I guess somebody was driving. I don't know how we got to these things. Or I would stay at my cousin's house, and they were having a dance somewhere. We would go as a family, go battle. And then we started rapping. And the thing was, I don't know what made me believe that we could just do it. I don't know what I just believed that we could do it. So we got a DJ and lights. I'll never forget the little light show. I don't know what made us think. And they used to have carnivals at churches.
Right.
So, and we were in our teens. And so they would allow us to rap at carnivals, but they were at churches. There was no other place to rap. You couldn't rap like at a club, or there was no other place to do it. Right. So we rap at carnivals, and they were at churches. And our content was battle based always. To us, hip hop is it was a very pure art. And all we knew was East Coast. Yeah. Hip hop. Yeah. That's all we knew. We didn't even, it was before NWA, it wasn't really much out here. And all we would do is listening to KRS-One, Cool J, Eric B. and Rakim, and among others. And that's all we knew. So it's just interesting when you think back about it. They let us rap at churches. And so then our content was about anti-drug, anti-gang type things. They called it gospel rap. When I first met JC and the boys, it was I want to say a carnival at a church, if I recall correctly. And we automatically, me and him laugh about it now. We've been friends for 50 years, whatever it is. But it was like a battle vibe, like automatically, because he's from the Bronx. So they were rapping, we were rapping. There was SFC, there was Chris Cooper. I think Peace was there at the time. I don't know if the Twins were there, but there was JC and the boys, and there was us. And at that time, we had already been rapping a couple of years. So I think David Guzman had gotten saved like in 84, 85, something like that, or he was being delivered. And then we had been rapping already. So we didn't even know we didn't even know there was anybody else doing it. And so it was like a weird situation at the time. It was a battle type vibe or feel. It started from the first time we met the first other gospel rappers. It was already like, it was a battle thing. It was weird. We didn't do it, but it felt like that. It was like already competition.
Right. Absolutely.
We
So
become the greatest of friends, obviously, but
right on. So from that moment, you started doing gospel churches outside in California, and you started just having this anti-drug message. At that point, did you know this was the direction you wanted to go in? And when you did know what you were trying to do and prayed about and had a vision about it, when did the name change to Tunnel Rats, and what's the origin behind the Tunnel Rat name?
well, at the time when we were doing it, I want to be clear, it was about hip hop. It wasn't just anti-drug, anti-gang. We were rappers. We just, we challenged each other to be the best that we could be without saying it. We looked to each other, me and Albert and Vincent, we looked to each other to grade the quality.
Right.
It's like iron sharpens iron, sword play, shadow boxing,
Right.
sparring. That's what iron sharpens iron means. It's you're practicing with your swords. That's what we didn't purposefully do it. We were just champions. You know what I mean? We love the competition. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Healthy
My cousin,
absolutely.
my cousin, Vincent, he stopped rapping at a certain time, and I sing as well. So we had this group, LPG, or at the time I think it was just LPG. The Tunnel Rats didn't exist yet.
Right.
But I had two groups in one. I didn't mix them. I didn't mingle them though. So when I was a singer, I would sing. It was separate from the rap stuff. So side A was rap and side B would be just singing. So my cousin Bobby, Rosa, and Vincent, they should sing as well. So we would sing, and then I had my little sister. She was a little baby girl, but we would rap and then sing at the same time, and we began to travel. So we knew from a very young age that we were called to something.
Mm-hmm.
And this is important to understand, that we were called to it.
Right. Absolutely.
We truly believe that you're not a rapper. We're not a rapper. I'm not a singer.
Mm-hmm.
We're children of the Most High. We're sons and daughters. First is what we are.
Right. Amen.
We rap. Right. That's the tool, the vessel. But we rap. And so we were rapping and singing at the time, and this fervor, this fire, whatever you want to call it, came over us, and we began to travel. And I don't know what made us think that we could. A couple of evangelists saw us very young and started taking us out to travel across the world. And we got to open up for the wine-ins, and we got to do, big churches. Because I was preaching in between. I would teach classes, or I'd preach to the youth, and then they would have us come rap for the youth, and they would have me sing in the main service or whatever. And at the same time battling in the parks or at clubs or wherever we were, but it was definitely a calling that we knew we were onto something bigger. So there was a vision there. And all of a sudden, so late 80s, we're traveling, we're getting booked all over, we're recording, we're cutting ourselves.
Right.
We know there's other rappers. Okay, the world's opened up now, so hip hop is here now.
Yeah.
On the West Coast, at least, right? It was on the East Coast already, but when it hit the West Coast, it hit it pretty fast, pretty hard. It started opening up. And we had already been, at that point, it was years and years and years that we had been doing it. And so in the gospel market, it was so far behind. And you've heard all the stories. People, older guys like me, they tell you about how hard it was at the time.
Right.
To do gospel music and how they treated us. I don't want this interview to be about how bad it was. We've already heard it. We understand that it was tough. Okay, so there was a few other people doing it. You had JC and the Boys, you had Soup, you had SFC, you had Freedom of Soul, you had the Dynamic Twins, and there was groups that stemmed from that as well. Those groups from out here that were later. I'm talking about years after we had already been doing it.
Yeah.
And the circle becomes a little bit spread, but everybody else, they were unified, kind of. They kind of understood what they were doing. They were making gospel rap music in a time where we had been doing it on the underground, on the street level. We were going to projects with a barbecue pit and monitors and rapping for projects or the churches, and we'd do it for free. We'd be the first ones there to set it up and the last ones to leave.
Right.
And then in I want to say it's 92, 93, something like that.
Yep.
We get invited to do a show. So we go do it. and we do the show. I don't remember the show at all, but I remember inviting everybody at the show over to my house. And from my if my recollection is correct, and everybody came. Future Shock was there. Pigeon John was there. I believe Tom Buffon was there. I believe Rafi was there. My cousin. There was a bunch of people came. A bunch of people. And my wife. I was married when I was 19. My wife cooked, and my sister, and we fed everybody. God just performed a miracle and fed everybody with plenty. And there was a light on over certain people, and this idea had come to me called the tunnel rats. My dad was a tunnel rat in Vietnam. Tunnel rat in Vietnam was they say the Vietnamese won the war because they did it underground. They fought underground. There was tunnels all in the ground. So my dad was 5'5", 119 pounds. He was, and they drafted him at 19.
Wow.
He was almost too small. He didn't make the weight, but somehow they finagled and got him in, and they forced him to go to war. My dad survived the war, and he became a tunnel rat. My dad was the right mental makeup. He was like born for that position. So I had this this idea of building this team that would be able to go to the areas that nobody else would go, because at the time we had thought that that we were the only ones willing to do it. That's what we thought, that we would go where nobody else would go.
Right.
And so we started something called the Tunnel Rats. And so I approached, I don't remember how I approached them, but Future Shock and Rafi and Shamesworthy. Rafi is Shames. And they became the first Tunnel Rats. And so we started. So we're a crew, and we're doing shows. I guess we were, and we're traveling, I guess, and we're going on tours and stuff. And my guys will be able to tell you better than I mean. I was there. I drove. When we were doing it, and then one of the greatest things happened ever in my life. I got to really, really meet and chill with Peace 586, Renee Peace.
Yes, sir.
So Soup is in the studio. There's a lot of stuff in between, but to get to the point, they're in the studio, they're recording, and Peace asked if we would come help write a record. I think it was for either for Peace or Soup. I think it was for Peace at the time.
Okay.
So we came in. It was for Freedom of Soul, and we came in and we built together. And there's a lot of stuff in between again, but long story short, we got offered a deal. And if it wasn't for Peace 586, there would be no Dax. There'd be no LPG, not to this extent. We'd still be us, but we'd probably still be really underground. He's the one that saw something in us. Soup helped along with it. We wrote some stuff with him. So they signed us. Peace would literally make a beat. We would write it right there and cut it, mix it onto the next. We made this album called Earthworm. And then we did our first Tunnel Rat album after that. And the rest is history. There's, I think, 4 generations now of Tunnel Rats.
Yeah, man, we're going to get into all of that. Thank you for Earthworm. By the way, when the first time I heard a place called Hip Hop, I'm like, you have got to be kidding me how simplistic of the record it is, but it was just such a powerful message in between. And my Christian friends will be like, well, how come I'm not saying holy this and quoting scriptures? And I'm like, you just got to read between the lines and just really take in the food that they're giving you. And it's really speaking to our language of people who love the culture, but really search for the message within the music. So thank you for that.
But that in itself too is interesting, because everything we've ever written has been biblical based. These people that want to know why you're not selling or pimping the name Jesus or selling the gospel, you have to be able to, what we believe, we've always believed, is that we're the vessel, right? I was talking with Jason Broom, Redbones, Red from Future Shock. We talk all the time and we build each other up. We were talking a couple days ago, and I love the word he used. He said, we're just the filter. And when I told him, yeah, the filter's got to be cleaned out at least once a year, that we're nothing but a filter, right? So we have a creative way of writing it, but it is biblically based. Our heart is with the Father. So when you write it where I'm not. Our goal was to not sell the gospel. I'm not trying to package up the gospel. And God bless people who've done it, whatever. But I don't purposely do that. So these people who would do that to us, and wonder why doesn't he mention? I'm thinking to myself, what, you don't have an ear to hear, or you don't know what the Bible says? Listen to what's being said. Listen to the title of the album. Listen to what's being said in it, and you're going to know that it's scripturally based all the way through. We could not have revelation embedded in our music. We could not. It was impossible. It was just flowing out of us that way. But one thing we did not do, I want to make it clear, we did not say certain words in our songs just to sell to Christians.
Right.
And that's what it comes down to. They won't buy it if you don't say it. It was, and you know what I loved about it? That label we were signed to, they didn't require it.
Wow.
They knew who we were, and they supported it. And again, if it wasn't for Peace allowing, seeing something in us and believing in us the way he did, it's interesting because Peace, we've known each other for, literally high school.
Yeah.
And I just recently told him, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have the understanding that I have today. And he's an incredible man. He's not only taught me how to be peaceful in the midst of a storm, but there's even times he was trying to teach me how to be a better husband. And I tried to apologize to him and tell him I didn't have the ear to hear then, but thank you for everything you've done. The man's an incredible man, incredible producer, my favorite. But so just a side note there with if you know the word and you like you think you do, and you can quote the word, then why is it you can't hear it? Where's your spirit at that you don't have an ear to hear? Ask yourself that. Why is it you can't feel it? So whatever, that is what it is. And the thing is, it's still happening even now. It's still happening even now. But whatever. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just now tuning in, we have the one and only Dax Reynosa here, founder and creator of the Tunnel Rat movement. And he's just breaking down the origin and how it became what it became. Now, Future Shock and Peace became the first generation, first wave alongside your sister. But then you branched out. So how did you and Sev Static meet?
I don't remember how we met. I think it was a convention or crewvention or something. They're going to hate me for this. That's why I don't remember how we met. I just know that when I met him, he had the calling. We were equally yoked. And talking to Red Bones a couple of days ago, he said his memory of the day that we were at my house, that when I brought up what I was bringing up, he knew at that moment, he vividly remembers that the Lord told him we were equally yoked. So we had the first generation Tunnel Rats, which is Rafi, who was just a really young man, and Future Shock and Zane and Peace. And then years go by, we put out the Experience album. And years go by, and as in our travels, I start to realize I'm getting older, and that again, this is not just a crew, it's a calling. Yeah. So I guess, put it simply, at different areas and different times, there was a equally yoked confirmation with Sev, Macho and Elsie. Nobody would have ever thought that, right? They ran with a crowd that was actually talking bad about us, right? They ran with a crowd, the Christians, that were better than everybody else, and I just knew that they were Tunnel Rats. Again, it was a calling. So I brought it up to Sev and brought it up to them, and they prayed about it, and the rest is history.
It's funny you just mentioned Macho and Elsie. I spent the majority of my upbringing in Boston. And Macho, Elsie, and myself, along with my crew, we would do shows together. And like you and your crew, we went to places that you didn't think church MCs would go to. We didn't go to churches. We went to clubs. We battled 5%ers and Muslims a lot in the East Coast. and we were never afraid of it. And some of it got hostile, some of it got verbally out of place, but for the most part, they respected our stance, we respected their stance, but we were unapologetic about it. But like you, there was just a calling over Macho and Elsie that we just saw working with them, rehearsing with them, and then everywhere they went, we went. And just to watch them just grow with every performance that they did, it was just an amazing experience. And then I don't know if you saw it. We have it on video. My people back in Boston have it, and there's some other footage that we have of you guys. They did a 20-minute set with an actual DJ, and it was one of their last performances before they moved out to California. And it was just like a great going away gift to saying, this is what we've done here, and now we're going to take it there. And Crewvention happened that you guys put on. There was a Crewvention that happened.
Yeah, in LA.
That way Ambassador was hosting, but then you guys did your own. And I was able to see a lot of the footage because one of my friends went and recorded a lot of the stuff that y'all did. And one particular thing that stood out that you did, you grabbed some water, put it in a big bowl on the ground.
No. I think Dirt did it to me. His name was Dirt.
Oh, that's right. Dirt did it to you. That's right. Okay, yeah. Other way around. And that I took away from all the raps that I saw with KJ52, Remnant Militia, Brainwash Projects, and all that. That moment to me really was the highlight of watching that Crewvention, to see that, because that is one of the more pivotal scenes in the Bible that gets talked about quite a bit. And for that to be reenacted in that sense, in this atmosphere, really was a powerful, powerful message. That all being said, that Crewvention really changed my viewpoint of what the West Coast was about on a more spiritual level. For you, putting that together and organizing all these great MCs to come in one place, what was that event like for you? For those that weren't there, or you just to recollect on one of the great moments of that era during that time.
Well, let me go back and just say this: when you talk about New Breed or Macho and Elsie,
yes, sir,
and I mean this sincerely, Macho's one of his top 5 to me all time. In any genre, in any world, as far as an MC, his writing ability, his ability, his pocket placement, his emotion, where he emotes on a track, was unparalleled. I think he's one of the greatest of all time. Wow. Elsie, her power, just her sheer power and placement, the confidences, they're just some of my favorites. I respect them so much. I love him so much. I'm a huge fan. I tell Macho all the time. I mean, when he used to rap, I used to get chills. I was such a fan of what he did. Crewvention. When I think back about those times, I think about opportunity. Again, I'm older at the time. At the time, I'm getting older, and at the time, yes, it was about ministering the gospel first and foremost. It's always been about that, in a way, reaching a community that were unreachable, that there was no other place for them to go. Hip hop was still fairly new. I mean, it had been out, but it wasn't like it is now, right? It's actually worldwide for sure. I mean, they're breakdancing in the Olympics. So at the time, so so bringing in a lot of these young cats, when I think back, I think about those times. I think about my mistakes as a leader. I think about how tough I was, the tough love. If I can go back and change some of those things, I would. I think I would have been a little more patient. But I come from a time where we had to carve out a road in the mountain. We had to carve out our place. There was no place for us to go, so we had to make the road. And we had, every time we hit those big boulders, we had to break through them. We didn't go around them; we broke through them. So there was a level of professionalism and respect for the art and respect for the position that we were as ministers, that we were trying to, that it wasn't just about coming together and rapping. So we were trying to relay this message. So I think I could have been softer in my approach, but if I can go back, I might change that. But I've always been that kind of temperament. I've always had that very strong temperament or personality. So I think about the Crewvention. I think about all those people that came in to be part of it from all over the nation. And every Crewvention, even the first one we went to, It's an incredible opportunity. The people that put it on, incredible opportunity for us. It created a lot of relationships that have never been broken. It
Hmm.
also sifted out the weak as far as who were in it for ego instead of ministry,
Right.
where their heart was. It started to expose where hearts were. Um, Either you were going to be about what the business, which was ministering the gospel, and you know uh, being a very good writer, rapper, wordsmith, whatever you want to call it, an
Right.
MC. It was going to sift out the weak. Again, if I can go back, I would change the approach. I think I've been more of an encourager. In my mind, I thought it was tough love by letting them know you suck, or or do it right, or you don't do it right, or stop doing it.
Right.
I think I would have went back and changed that. So whoever I offended during those years, I apologize.
Ministry in music is a lot different than secular mainstream music. Um, if someone's, let's say you and I were in the same group together, and you knew that my walk with the Lord wasn't right in whatever capacity that would be, how would Dax sit someone down and say that we know that this is not right? What you're doing affects the group. How would you have those talks with your family, your movement, whenever somebody was, or even yourself, when someone wasn't, living according to the music y'all was trying to make, and the message behind it?
Um, I'm a strong component, right? I believe that your relationship with the Father is yours.
Mm-hmm.
That the only time I would have to bring anything up was when you weren't doing your job in the studio, you weren't cutting right, you weren't professional enough. In my opinion, at the time, what I thought was professional, I was trying to create a product that was the best in the world, like comparable to anything. I used to say we're the best. There's nobody better than us, right? They're just as good, but they're not better.
Right.
So that's when you weren't doing your best. But as far as your walk, I've always see. I'm gonna in my position. I'm gonna try to guide with the things that God is sharing with me, right? So some of the revelation or the revelation behind the scripture, some of the things that the Lord would show me, I would try to minister those things. I would try to lead by example as much as I possibly could. But being fallible,
Mm-hmm.
being a man first, it's hard to be an example. So we come up with a way to say it. We become a sample of the example,
Mm-hmm.
a sample of the example. Taste and see if the Lord is good. So I wouldn't. We've all done some crazy things. The Tunnel Rats have some stories, and we've been through some ups and downs, and we're not afraid to admit those mistakes that we've made.
Mm-hmm.
The church has turned their back on us for some of these mistakes, and that's an awful thing. And the church turning their back on us and other people that have been in this business. These men aren't even believers anymore.
Mm.
Which again leads you to this point that says that some of these people that you looked up to that were believers and spoke like they were believers are now not
Mm.
even believers because they walk around with church hurt and they can't seem to let it go. And now their faith was tested and found wanting, that a paper man was tested in the fire. I love these men more now than I ever have because of their humanity.
Mm-hmm.
So for me with the Tunnel Rats, it was I embraced the humanity. I can tell you intimate stories. There's intimate stories of mistakes that we've all made.
Right.
All had to hold each other accountable. If it was going to affect the family, then it would be brought up. If it was them and their decisions or mistakes that they were, growing up, growing pains, making mistakes as young men or young women, that was a relationship with the Father. We were going to move in
Mm.
love, period. We were going to be accepting, and their repentance was on them. Their
Yeah.
relationship is with the Father. We This is very important to understand that humanity is a key to salvation.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Humanity, the human man. Choose ye this day whom you will serve, God or manna, not the devil. Never mention the devil. God or manna,
Mm-hmm.
God or yourself. There's a question I ask, and it sounds sacrilegious, but who has more power than God in your life? one time, who has more power than God in your
Wow.
life? One time.
Wow. Yeah.
You do. You control the hand of God in your life one time. There's one choice in life, yes or no, life or death. Choose ye this day whom you will serve. Will it be God or man? Manna, yourself. Once you
Wow.
make that choice, you are now bound. Now you either you release the Father
Hmm.
to move in your life, or you say, no, you can't move in my life.
Wow.
Once you make that decision, you are then bound to that decision. You're bound to it.
Hmm.
So true freedom is in accepting the bondage. If you say, yes, I want life, then you're now bound to the Father. If you say, I serve myself, then you're now bound to the flesh.
Mm.
True freedom is in accepting that bondage. In our flesh, we don't like to be bound.
Hmm.
So we fuss and we fight in our Christian walk. I don't even like to use Christian walk because a walk as a believer. Let me
Right.
just make something clear that I don't like to use the word Christian because it has such a bad connotation. It's a very bad connotation. And in my opinion, what
Right.
would be the greatest um, guys to bring the Antichrist in? If 77% of all Americans believes themselves to be Christian, then how are you
Mhm.
going to trick America? You're going to call yourself a Christian. So I like to call myself a believer. But nonetheless,
Okay.
but nonetheless, and I do, okay, look, and I understand it's Christianity. I get it. I'm just saying the
Mm.
connotation comes with a lot
Right.
of, so I just say, Lord, I believe. I believe in you and
That's real.
like-minded people. So at the end of the day, um, uh, your humanity is very important. You get to
Hmm.
choose as a man. The Old Testament was, it was forced. It was law. New Testament was, he wanted you to choose. You used to have to give. Now you choose to give. And we can get into the scripture, but it's about choice.
Hmm.
If it wasn't for the humanity of a disciple who walked with Christ and then denied him,
Hmm.
if it wasn't for that man, we wouldn't have the church that we're living today.
Yeah.
If David wasn't ever quoted as being an adulterous murderer, we can get back into um, David's young life as a young boy who would slay lions and bears, so they say. With the way I see him, he was just a cocky kid, just was blessed by God. I was blessed by God. Everything I touched turned to gold. When I was very young, I thought it was me. So I made some grave mistakes, my
Hmm.
personality. And as you get older, you start to learn that I'm nothing without you, Father. And that at the end of the day, we're just a vessel. But David, when he was very young, he just did it. He
Hmm.
just had a slingshot and he went to work. And when shot his slingshot, slung it, it worked. And so he had no doubt that he would win the war with Goliath and the brothers. So he goes and he picks 5 stones. And me and Jason were just going over it. Interesting because those 5 stones didn't start there. They started somewhere far, miles and miles and miles away. And throughout years and years and years, they were chastised and mulled over and pushed. And those stones had been made perfect for such a time as that. They had gone through everything that they had been through to be the perfect 5 stones for that battle. He bent over, he saw the ones that would work, and he picked them up and he put them in his bag and he goes to war. Jason said something interesting. They confirmed with me a couple days ago, and it was, they put the armor on him, and it didn't fit him then. At that time, it didn't fit him, but
Mm.
it was still his armor.
Right.
And we went into discussion about that everything comes in time. To make a decision as a man in your humanity to say yes, Father. When you
Hmm.
say yes, it means you're in the pursuit of the heart of God. You're never going to have it.
Mm.
You'll never be God.
Wow.
So it's basically you're reaching for the stars, but you come up with air.
Wow.
Some would say that's a life of failure. No, it's the pursuit of the heart of God. A new song I have that I've just recorded. It says, I've learned to stop pushing, but never stop trying.
Mm.
At the end of this day today, I decided you're the first interview I'm going to do in a long line. God's finally released me after all these years. What I'd like for people to know about me or us is that
Hmm.
we are men and women who have chosen. chosen the Father,
Yeah.
and daily discipline and daily pursue and fight back that flesh daily, make decisions
Wow.
daily. We make constant mistakes. I mean, business mistakes, and as parents, we're all parents. And let me just say something right now: there are no better parents than that I've seen in the Tunnel Rats. These guys these people are the greatest parents I've ever seen. Phenomenal
Yeah.
spouse, amazing people.
Hmm.
We've learned to acquire a taste for swallow pride and implement all the things that we've learned. But we made a choice in our humanity. It's the triune being, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, spirit, soul, body. Humanity is extremely important, and please hear me.
Hmm.
It's extremely important for you to embrace the humanity,
Mm.
because when you embrace and realize what you are not, thus the need for God, I'm a perfect man.
Hmm.
I'm going to pursue the heart of God. I'm going to try daily, realizing that I'll never have it.
Mm.
It's a
Wow.
pursuit. You have to take a step forward. What you're doing is you're teaching your children how to endure
Mm.
when you're in your weakest points in your life. So when Jason or Macho or Journey, my best friend, my cousin, my sister,
Mm.
when with the things that we've gone through, the failures, the pain, the loss, the death, the life,
Hmm.
the million, the loss of millions. I mean, properties, lost properties, successful businesses, lost businesses.
Yeah.
Like, I can tell you this, that because we've chosen to believe in the pursuit, that we are all still believers, that we all still move in love, that we all still will battle you in a dime. If you want to about right now at 54, anybody come see me. I'm hoping I
Wow.
need somebody let's go. So, but it's the pursuit of the heart of God. It's the pursuit,
Mm.
and we all are consistently living it today. So I would encourage everybody out there, my friends who I know that will, even conversation with them, they're like, Dax, can't do it. And they start to go into history and where things were manipulated and lied. I said, of course they were manipulated and lied. Of course. The Bible, it being the word of God, is basically through the eyes of disciples, men.
Hmm.
The word of God was a descriptive, an eye, revelation. God's revealing things to them, and they wrote it down.
Mm.
That's
They did.
what we're doing in music.
Yeah.
All we're doing is regurgitating. History is repeating itself. We're just quoting the word through the revelation that God is showing us. We are just speaking the word. We are living the word. Who is the living word? In the pursuit of the heart of God, if you're going to be in hip hop or rap music and you're going to call yourself a believer or gospel, whatever you want to call yourself, I'd rather just call yourself an artist.
Hmm.
But whatever you call yourself, out of the abundance of the heart,
Mouth speaks.
it's going to be seen.
Yeah.
He who has an ear, hear. So embrace your humanity, embrace the failure that is us, and then choose the pursuit. And every day you're going to step in poop.
Oh.
Just don't walk in the house. Eventually you
Right.
start to learn. Eventually you start to learn in life. In this life, we've learned. We've learned what not to do. I can tell you that I don't know how to tell you what to do, and I wouldn't even
Mm.
try. So, but to answer your question the long way I just did is, if the Tunnel Rats were going through something, I would be there to love on them and encourage them. If they weren't rapping right, I'd be in their butt. If they didn't write it fast enough, I'd be in their butt.
Wow.
If the parking wasn't right, but when it came to their relationship with the Father, I don't believe I ever had one. And maybe when you interview them, they'll tell you I don't remember ever questioning them. I know Red Bones was making a decision at one point that I thought it was a bad decision. I told him.
Hmm.
Other than that, there was principles that we were living, but those principles that I was trying to instill into them was about quality. Um, but their relationship with the Father is theirs. We taught them
Hmm.
it's your decision. And they already knew this. That's the thing about the tunnel rats. They knew already. All we were doing is confirming, but they knew. I led, but they knew already.
One of the first of all, that was so powerful. I can't wait to play that for my wife so she can hear that, because she's trying to find her own identity and really trying not to move in the way that other women of color move. But she's having a struggle trying to find her, I think, identity. But that's a whole nother subject for another time.
No,
Because
but with
she's
that,
probably,
it's very no, but it's very important.
right.
I think you should interview. Well, we're doing we're putting together like a podcast type thing. With Red,
Dope.
Law Red, but it's interesting because your identity
Mm-hmm.
is son of God, daughter of God, right? If she's a believer, right? She believes.
She
That's who
is,
you are.
yes.
Now you have a bunch of gifts, right? You have things that you can move in, things that you specialize in. Master those things. That's where the implementation of quality or practice, the work gets put into it. I would
Mm-hmm.
encourage people. They have a saying that says, "Love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life." I don't subscribe to that. I think this is the most ridiculous thing ever said. The way I live and where I've tried to teach, I've tried to, I hate to use the word teach. I've tried to show the people around me is that
Mm-hmm.
love to
Wow.
work. And it doesn't matter what you do. You can shovel poop or make a hit record. Just love the work.
Yeah.
Love the work. I work for free because my abilities are priceless. I'm the best in the world. There's people just as good, but they're not better than me. In my
Mm-hmm.
mind, I'm ridiculous.
It's
But
okay.
so I work for free. So I work for free, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're paying for my time. My time is $500 an hour. I'm a builder. I develop property.
Mm-hmm.
So my time is this, but my work is free because it's priceless. I don't know. All our music we've ever done, in my mind, what I've taught them is no, we're giving it to them. The music is free. Oh, the time it took me to make it is what you're paying for at the time, a CD or a cassette.
Right.
Now, if people actually support it and buy a vinyl, well, what you're paying for is the time it took me to become the best, us to
Yeah.
become what we are. Because it was when you were asleep or when you were trying to do it, we were working. We
Yeah.
love the work. And let me tell you something right now, and I can say this boldly, and I hope my family, who I respect and love so much,
Mm-hmm.
Propaganda, Shamesworthy, Peace 586, Zane Reynosa, Journey Big, Future Shock, Sev Static, Triune. There's a, just trust me,
Yeah.
listen to me, look at us all. There's one thing that just, the one thing that we, was a million things, but the one thing that ties together is work ethic.
Yeah.
It's work
Absolutely.
ethic. And the tunnel rats will tell you how much they love my father. He knew how to work.
Mm.
So I'll tell you this: identify as a worker bee. Love to work. Tell your wife, love to work. Love the work. Now,
Amen.
what you do is going to vary.
Mm-hmm.
I rap sometimes. Sometimes I sing. Sometimes I build. Sometimes I'm a father. Sometimes I'm a friend. Priority changes throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
Love the work. Well, how do you train for that? Be all things to all. How you train for it is the pursuit of the heart of God. You're going to find your niche, but that
Mm.
niche is going to develop into other things. We don't just rap. We don't just write poetry. We don't just build the church that you're worshiping in. We
Mm-hmm.
don't just write the music that you're singing in worship. We don't just clean the properties that you worship in.
Mm.
We don't just cook the food that you eat in the restaurants. We don't just make the clothes like my daughters work in the fashion industry. We don't just direct plays like my daughter directs plays.
Wow.
We do it all. And sometimes we're house cleaners, sometimes we clean windows, sometimes we're rappers, sometimes we're preachers, sometimes we're teachers. We're always fathers, we're always sons, and we're always in the pursuit of the heart of God. Now she'll
Mm.
find her niche. If you don't mind me asking, is she in her 30s? Your wife?
She's about to turn 40 soon.
Okay. that's that time that we all start to grow and change, and women mature a little faster than men. Tell her to
Mhm.
stay focused on the work, whatever the work is, and then and then see what she likes. But yeah, the work. I would encourage that to anybody out there. Focus on the work. If it's
Wow.
emceeing, give it that certain amount of time at that time. If it's music, then learn the language of music. If it's poetry, if it's building, if it's being a police officer, if it's being a pastor, then learn what it's like to be in pursuit of the heart of God. And make that your priority. Make the work the priority, whatever it is. Putting the chairs up, pulling the chairs down, vacuuming the floor, being a father, cleaning window, whatever it is that you're doing at all times, be the best at it. Pursue the
Mhm.
heart of God in it.
Amen. Wow. That's clearly amazing. Artistry wise, you had the TR main experience was like the first offering, and then the tree built to the Future Shock album, to the Peace 586 album. Um, man,
Yeah, that's how it
you know,
happened, huh? Because before that, it
uh,
was Freedom of Soul. Then it was Peace 586. Yeah, I remember that.
and then it just spread it off, and then you went and met Seth Static, and he joined, and then you had Neogen, who, well, they were part of Remnant Militia, but then you had so many just like offspring
I think we
entities
did
that
ask them if they wanted to be tunnel rats. I think we did. I think they didn't feel it was their calling. Interesting.
yeah.
Same thing with LA Symphony. I had asked Pigeon to be part of it, him and B twice, and it wasn't for them. They didn't feel it in their spirit, so they started LA Symphony, which is awesome.
Yeah, very, very awesome. Who else was gonna say? Griffin, and then it just the tree just kept getting bigger, and then propaganda came into the mix, and then tunnel vision came, and I was so glad tunnel vision came, because at this time, between the Underground Rise project and the Mike Knight song you did and the record you did with Ahmad, which was so powerful, World War III. Oh my goodness, man, and so many great little contributions. The one you did with KRS, but that was after tunnel vision. But then to see the collective come back stronger than you were before, and one line you said in the TR's record left you 5 years ago, but y'all still sound the same. I know that had a deeper meaning to it than just a surface lyric, but I know it had a deeper meaning. But to see you all come back and be more unified, more stronger than ever with new pieces, let me just quickly get your thoughts on Tunnel Vision and what that album meant to you, with new members of the Rats, the original members coming back, and just seeing the union, the movement stronger than ever. And then we definitely got to talk about this new record in the future. So let's just talk about Tunnel Vision
Um,
for a few moments.
when you mentioned propaganda,
Yep.
um, when I met him, I mean, Hungry, he's always been one of the best. His abilities, his ear for time is unparalleled. Same thing with Rafi. They're just arguably some of the best in the world. I mean, you guys have no idea. I was in the studio last night with Triune. We're having a discussion about Rafi, about Shames, like like no joke, like no cap, like one of the best of all time.
Mhm.
Propaganda, he's so prolific in his ability that I go to them now for advice, and I want to know where they're coming from because they're so prolific. He's one of the most amazing MCs, poets, writers, thinkers, but an amazing husband, an amazing father, just an incredible artist, and one of my best friends in the world. I have a lot of respect for Propaganda. Um, there was some development that needed to take place, but at the time, I felt it was time for me to take a step back and allow them to lead,
Mhm.
right? The next generation. That if not, it would have just been another like experience album. It would have came everything from me. So I was on a couple of songs, me and Journey, sprinkled to show some of the old school stuff. And if you, Rafi's actually LPG. Rafi is old school LPG with us, but Rafi's the original with me and Journey, and then all the way through to the end. So Rafi's actually there, but it's kind of weird because he's like this floating free safety. He's through all the generations. The one constant is Rafi. So he
Mhm.
was not only recording with us and learning how to record as a teenager on 2-inch tape. He became an engineer, a mixing engineer, and began to cut the next generation. So it's just incredible. He's been through
Mhm.
everything, Pat. Uh, he's also a historian. Um, but that album, I had the idea for the album but I knew there was going to be time for me to take a step back, me and Albert to take a step back, me and Journey take a step back and to see what they would do. Dirt. Renee was a married man. Renee was Peace 586 was married, focused on
Yeah.
being, children. And at that time, I just told him, I say a week ago, I told him that I was so grateful for him because at the time he was teaching me how to be a husband, and I didn't know how to listen back then. He was being faithful to his marriage and his wife and his children. He was focusing on that. So he didn't have the time to be in the studio with us as much as he wanted to be. So I found this kid, Dirt. I was a youth pastor at the time, and that's where I actually was. There was some MCs, some LA legends out here used to come to my youth group. As a matter of fact, you know that DJ Dove from the SFC, he got saved at our show, became
Oh,
a Christian at
dope.
our show. Yeah, and so Acid Rain, they were some of my youth group at the time. We met Dirt, and so long story short, you hear all the things about me. I would sit in my living room, watch TV, and I would sit there while he'd make 15 beats in a Saturday, all day make
Wow.
beats. And I would say, yeah, that's great. Another one. That's great. Another one. And for everyone he we would write to it. But he developed very quickly into an amazing, probably arguably one of the best in the world, arguably one of the best of all time as far as
Yeah,
beat making is concerned. He's sick with it. Um,
absolutely.
and he became great. And so that piece was uh, with his family, and rightfully so. And then it gave an opportunity for another beat maker to come in and a younger sound, something different. And the Tunnel Vision album came out of it. I go back and listen to it now, even, and I'm amazed at some of the things that were there. You know, I consider Rafi a great help, and I wish I would have listened to him sooner because when I was younger, I didn't mix the two. I didn't mix singing and rap. I was a singer. I was singing professionally, but I would
Mhm.
not mix the two. I would never have any melodies on my. It was straight hip hop, and then singing was somewhere else. I wish I would
Mhm.
have listened sooner to Rafi and my dad. When they implemented the more musical part into the Tunnel Rat album, I thought that was very cool. We tried to do it with Future Shock a little bit with a live band. That's where we allowed Tycoon and his name was Boogie at the time, but Little Baby Jesus, Boogie, they're world renowned producers now and musicians. But we gave them their first opportunity in high school, and they came in and we uh, made the Future Shock album, try to bring some musicality to it. But that Tunnel Vision album really pushed us to the next level as far as expanding our horizons.
Yeah.
And then we
It
made
did.
a bunch of albums in between, a lot of stuff
Mhm.
after that.
Yeah, you guys stayed very consistent and very creative with your sound, and it just evolved over the years. So I had Zane, Sojourn, Propaganda, and Raf interviewed them some time ago, and they said, "Yo, we got a reunion show happening very soon." And I quickly got so excited. I mean, I wish I could have flown out there just to be a part of that, to see legends that I grew up listening to my whole life saying that they're slowly coming back into the game. And it was just one show. You know, I didn't look anything farther beyond that. I was just happy for that moment. They got to be back on stage again. And then ripples started coming. And now we have this incredible record. Man. Um, I told you this over the phone. The first time I heard it, I literally played it back, paused it, and literally wrote down every lyric from all three verses just so I can memorize the record. But to really dissect the verses, especially yours and Sojourn's, my goodness. The narrative for We on Top, in a few short words, what is the narrative of We on Top?
Um,
Please.
Renee flew me out to Hawaii, and it said, "It, are you ready yet? Is it time?" And I had said, "Yeah, God is releasing me to. Let's do it. Let's do something." I don't know what was going to be of it, so we went out there. I think we did, I don't know, 7, 9. I don't know what it was. Tracks came up in a couple of days. We cut these songs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and one of them was on top. Daniel still had this beat, and he gave it to me, and I wrote it on there, and it was basically I mean, it speaks for itself. I've been a witness to watching someone witness the truth in the flesh, and yet they still deny it. I
Yeah.
had a vision and walked inside the vision to miss and expose the Christian to themselves that misaligned it. Realign the focus that undermined his focus. We put in the church on notice. We born for this assignment. Be warned, the storm is coming. Before the second coming, you're shaking in your faith, but faith is where you find it. Lightning flashes and lightning crashes, electrified skies, both beautiful and violent. With any luck, you'll get struck. 300 million volts with each bolt, and see if you deny it. We on top. We on the
Woo.
top of the under, the peak of the bottom. We on top. So underground, always consider ourselves the ground floor, but we're the
Mhm.
best in the underground. So basically, that's it. And it came to our calling has always been to like be a an irritant. So we're going to
Mhm.
expose the church. The Bible talks about when they were selling in the church that Jesus braided a whip,
Wow.
and nobody ever speaks about that.
Mhm.
Nobody ever preaches that. I don't know why. Me and Jason talk about it all the time. We don't understand why they never talk about that. The most important part of that to me was that he braided
Mhm.
the whip, right? That it was predestined, that he had to braid the whip, and he was emotionally triggered because he was upset and angry that what they were doing in the church. But he took
Mhm.
the time to calm down and braid the whip, probably the whole time thinking, "Oh, I'm going to get him. Oh, I can't wait." And he braided his own whip. So
Mhm.
that's what we're doing. Basically, on top is a precursor. It's a foreshadowing of what's going to come, at
Mm.
least from me. And we're braiding the whip, and we're the
That
best
you.
at it in the underground.
Amen. I'm going to bring up a friend of mine, also from Boston. This is my brother, Triple Threat, right here.
How you doing, sir?
Actually, this is my
Doing well,
friend,
sir. How are
Triple
you?
Threat.
Good.
Like myself, he has listened to you since day one. True fan. And I was going to say, okay, so you just said that this song is a, a warning strike, if you will, to what's coming next. I can tell you that I love the record. He heard the record. A lot of us believers heard the record and love it. But what's been the feedback since We on Top came out?
Um,
What's the response been like?
well, I'd like to apologize to Renee, like in front of everybody. But that song was a year old, right? So, well, I don't know. I cut my part a year ago, a little over a year ago, and then I think we gave it to Props and Soldier, and they got on it quick. And then during that reunion show, maybe more than a year, geez. And then we did the reunion show, and then Rafi brought his cameras, and we ran through it, I think 3 times or 4 times in an alley before we did the show. And that was,
Mm-hmm.
they sat around for about a year. So Renee was at a point where he's like, I'm done. Like, mix it. He gave it to Daniel Steele. Daniel mixed it and added some stuff to it. And I don't know how he got Rafi to edit it, which Rafi did an amazing job. Shames did an amazing job editing. I love it. Editing it. And then they just told me, I think it was a Saturday or something. They just said, we're dropping it. It's leaving. I said, okay. I no, I lost my phone. I don't know when they dropped it. I lost my phone. I didn't have a phone. So
Mm-hmm.
it was crazy. So I'm going to T-Mobile. I literally walked 5 steps, lost my phone, had to buy another phone. These phones are this computer, these 23s that we have. Oh my
Yeah.
God! So I got another one. So I can't go to my Instagram because it's telling my other phone, sending us a code to the other phone, and it won't let me
Mm-hmm.
get to Instagram. So I'm on the phone with people talking about, yeah, it just released and it's reverberating throughout the world.
Yeah.
And so we knew that it was coming. Me and Renee had been having conversations for years, and he has been waiting patiently, but he's been getting better and better and better, and the production's getting better and better and better, and he's waiting for us to join in. And so
Mm.
I'd write with him throughout the years. I've written so many songs. Rafi reminds me all the time of how many records we have cut that we never did nothing with. So at this time, it was a release, and actually this podcast is the first one I'm doing of many as a release. The God's releasing me to share some of the things that we've experienced. So this song, and all I can tell you is this, that I'm recording.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who's going to be on it exactly. I know that we're in the process of doing some things, and the
Mm.
things sound really good. And I know that the water is broken and the baby's coming. And I will say this, that we have to finish. Now, whoever has that ear to hear, great.
Mhm.
Maybe some people don't feel in their spirit that they want to go on. That's great too. We love them. We're family. We're tunnel rats. We're family. But as for me in my house, I'm recording. Renee's making beats. You know, Rafi's been in the studio. Props is
Mhm.
always in the studio. Sojourner Rap on a dime. I just had a conversation with the original Tunnel Rats, Future Shock, and I just got a text of a song that they've actually worked on. We didn't even know we were working on stuff at the same time. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what God puts together. But I will say this: there's nobody better than Peace 586 as far as what we do. What we do is very unique. He's the best in the business, period. And then and the Tunnel Rats are pretty good,
Yeah.
pretty good, even at our age.
One last question from me, and then I'm gonna let my man ask a question, and then we'll get you on your way. There's a lot going on in the world right now: politics, worldly issues, Black Lives Matter. We could list everything that's going on. In the early stages of your career, your narrative was to go into the dark places, quote unquote, just to speak from a believer's point of view, not necessarily to convert people, but look, this is who we are. This is our message. After we're done, we'll talk to you, we'll pull you aside. If you want to join the crusade and follow Jesus, here it is. But now I believe the message is a lot deeper because of what's going on around us as we leave our homes. COVID was a huge roadblock for many. When you go out now in 2024 with this music and this newfound narrative, and if it ain't old, don't fix it, which I think is great for this because you all are still the same, just more matured and more polished. What's the message now you all want to send to the world when you guys go out to the places that you're going to go out to, wherever those places are?
They've asked me to go to Europe and teach at a conference and do some shows, right? And the conference
Mm-hmm.
is for Christians, Muslim, Jewish, right? They support everybody, and it's Christian finances supporting it.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Renee and Jason Broom, Redbone, and Jason Petty, Propaganda. We all
Mm-hmm.
believe the same thing. I'm gonna say it my way. They might be able to say it better or their way, but we're gonna live it. We're gonna tell it,
Nice.
not from Christian perspective, from a grown man who understands how to fail, needs to believe in something more than himself.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us in my own family have children that we're working on their health. I have a child, the mother of one of my children was diagnosed with bipolar 1, dealt with that for a long time. We can talk about, there's real life happening
Mm-hmm.
every day, everything. My father fell off a ladder and died on my job, right? My mother, coming up on Friday, the 1-year anniversary of her death.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say something on that real quick. My father taught me everything I knew. I spent the first half of my life not wanting to be like my dad. I spent the next half of my life realizing that I'll never be able to fill his shoes.
Mm-hmm.
He was painting a church, a Catholic church, 2 jobs a year I do for cost of material and labor, and I use the labor 20% less. That's how basically I give back. But it doesn't matter the religion. If God releases me to do it, I do the job. I help organizations that are helping the community.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were doing this Catholic church. We rebuilt the whole thing, and we were painting the outside. And my dad was a painting contractor for about 40 years. And my dad was painting the building. I had 6 men there to do it. He was just supposed to watch them. And he was up there doing it. And they're telling him, Dave, get down here. We'll do it. He was 75, worked 6 days a
Wow.
week. And he was painting. And He fell off a ladder. I got a phone call saying, your dad fell off a ladder. He's dead. He's dead. He's dead. I said, what? Shut up. I'm on the way over there. I get a call from the police saying that your dad is fallen. He's the laceration on his head. We're taking him to the hospital. So I'm on the freeway rushing over there. I see the ambulance get off, and I think, is that my dad? And then I get off, and it's him, and he's awake, and he's saying, don't kill me, don't kill me, don't kill me. Where's my son? Where's my son? Where's my son? And they finally let me in to see him. He didn't have a laceration. He was split open. His entire head was split open. He had two brain bleeds and a bleed in his brainstem. So we had to pull the plug on him. So the day I pulled the plug on him, I went to work. I pulled the plug and I allowed my sisters and my brothers to go up and say goodbye. And I went to work. I went and passed an inspection because that's what my dad would do.
Mm-hmm.
I went 2 weeks later to the job to finish. So I'm walking around the building and his stain was on the floor. His blood stain was on the floor. So I'm looking around the building to see what I have to go finish. So I call up my guy and I tell him, hey, Mike, what do my dad, what do we have to paint? And he goes, what do you mean? I said, come on, dude, please. He said, what do you mean? He finished. And then he fell off. And then he fell off the ladder.
Wow.
So I'll tell you this. What you're going to hear from this, they finished. My dad, before he died, he told Peace. I didn't know this, but he pulled Renee aside. I can imagine my dad telling him, I'm begging you, I'm asking you, make sure my son finishes. And that's what he's been waiting for. So Renee has been working, becoming better. And again, he is solely responsible for making me the man I am, God using him. If it wasn't for Peace being as quiet and as peaceful as he is, but an instrument in my life, me personally, I may hold the reins of this. I may be at the front of the I may be pulling the horses at the front. I may be the tip of the spear for this group, but if it wasn't for Peace, if it wasn't for Jason Petty propaganda, if it wasn't for Jason Broom, Red Bones, if it wasn't for Ajax, Sojourn, Zane, Rafi, if it wasn't for these people, there's so many more. But if it wasn't for these people, I wouldn't be here today. So what you're going to get with whatever is happening, I can't make a promise to anybody other than what you're going to hear is it was finished.
Wow. Before we go, Triple Threat, you want to ask Dax a question real quick?
Yeah, one question. We on Top is a dope song. We're playing on my radio show, by the way. Look forward to new music. Remember, there was a time when you guys were battling. Before Christians were battle rapping like they are now with the Overflow League. You guys were battling. So my question is, would you guys be, in lieu of the music, even step back into that arena again, whether it's Overflow or whatever? Saga and others.
I'm up for I love challenges, right? I love challenges. I was having a conversation in the studio last night with Triune and them. The only thing that challenges me now, because I'm not moved by emotion. I don't write because I feel it. Put a beat on, I write to it and rap it. I don't have to feel anything. I am a true writer. So I don't have to feel it. I write because that's who I am. So we were in the studio last night. I'm like, I'm trying to be inspired. Like, there's nobody out there. So if you want to get real, we're going to get a tunnel right now. We're going to get LPG. Okay. There's anybody out there that I've heard yet? Everybody's missing something, right? And I'm not talking about their spiritual life. I'm talking about in their game. I can see where they're missing, right? So I'm like, there's nothing that challenges me yet. I mean, maybe there's somebody out there, but the one that challenges me right now is Kendrick Lamar. Ooh. I see what he's doing, and I see that he changed the game, and that's what challenges me. I'm waiting for right now. I'm writing for that's my competition.
Wow.
So yeah, I guess we can. I'd like to battle song for song, content for content. I'd like to battle level for level. Any idiot, I've done it for years, and I'm the stupidest person of all, can write a dope rap. But can you do something that has multiple levels that they'll listen to for 25 years and then finally say, I just got a message saying it took me 20 years to understand some of the things that you were saying. I would love to do it. I would love the challenge. I just want us to move in love. At the end of the day, I want you to know that I love you. You got to take this spanking. You got to take the whooping, but I love you. And if you beat me, you might beat me one round, but you better hope I don't get up. And I'm gonna tell you right now, you don't want that with the tunnel rat. That's just something that, oh my God. If I ring the bell, okay, let me tell you something right now about the tunnel rats. They're gonna get pissed. You have these rat magazines and like these guys online, and and everybody says something, and they do this and they do that, or they say a bad remark. In our group text, the tunnel rats go in. Let me tell you something right now. I don't, and I'm like, I'm just laughing, going, calm down. It's cool. Let's wait. But no. Don't wake up that lion. We're trying to keep that bear caged up. But yeah, we would do it. But, I mean, I don't understand the premise, because the battle thing is I mean, I guess it's skill for skill is what they're, I don't know. What's the premise of it? I mean, what?
It's for sport. It's for sport. You're right.
I
Skill
get
for
it.
skill, bar for bar. I mean, they have everything from wrestling bars to Bible bars to gun bars, and these are Christian rappers. They said from the Saga and others who are doing it, but it's all Christians. New Jersey
Love it.
Twerk,
Yeah.
yeah. I
No,
met
I
you
know.
like for free. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know what it is. I mean, it's the same stuff we've done for, almost 40 years. We've, 30 some years. Yeah, it was same thing. I'm still doing it right now. Um, um, uh, yeah, I mean, I would love to do that. I would love to see what happens.
Yeah, that'd be
See,
crazy. Tunnel Rats versus Overflow. I'll be here for it.
oh
Wow.
man, that would be, I'd have to see it. Yeah, I don't, yeah, we're up for it. I mean, there's nothing that to scare. I mean, I can't speak for them, but I know that if I went in, I don't think anybody would not let me go by myself.
So with all that being said, when the Battle for LA documentary came out, you weren't in that. And I don't know if that was on purpose or whatever. I was looking forward to hearing you go at someone, because records that you've done over the years. I think my favorite record of yours was It Don't Stop. Lord have mercy. What you and Journey did on that record was so aggressive, but in an
Journey
artistic
killed that.
way. But I just felt the emotion from that record. I'm like, man.
No, Journey, that was one of the dopest verses of all time. Journey killed that.
Yeah.
And that's nothing. Like we would literally put a beat on, write it, and rap it, and then leave it. We didn't ever even went back to them. We never even put thought to it. Yeah, that was a great record, man. Oh my God. No, that movie, we were in the midst of doing a couple of films at that time. We were trying to start something, and I was behind the camera. I was with the director, and we was kind of, producing. I put it together. I put the battles together. I was trying to be behind the camera and allow the young bucks to be involved in it. We were trying to. It wasn't about gospel. It was being gospel. It was about just showing that there was battle raps in LA. It was before they already had done Beef, and we were in the process of doing Battle for LA. So it was kind of like Beef. It was all at the same time. We were all thinking about things at the same time. We did another one called Foot Soldiers. I put together a monster crew of off the head battle rappers from LA. And then we drove across the country to all the dopest dudes across the country and battled them in their front yards or wherever it would be, and filmed it, did a movie. And then whoever won that battle of their thing, they would become part of the Foot Soldiers. And if a guy for the Foot Soldier lost, he got sent back. And we ended up in New York, and that's how I met Triune, 50 Caliber, Issues. And then I signed Karis One, do an album, and then he jumped along for the Foot Soldiers and tried to steal the Foot Soldiers, tried to take them. I don't know what he thought he was going to do, but talk about a crazy man.
Wow. So my last question is, and then we're gonna let you go. Will we see a updated full 2024 or 2025 Tunnel Rat documentary?
We're working on we're in the creatives right now. A couple of people have come to me for wanting to do it, but me and I think I'm going to speak for him right now. I think he's my brother, Jason Broom, Red Bones. We've been discussing it. This is what he does. He writes and directs for television. He's working on a feature film right now, his novel. When I tell you one of the best in the world, that's Jason Broom. So we're working on it right now. We are going to do a real documentary. JC and the boys or David Guzman, Scroller, wants to go back to where our recollection of West Coast or gospel music in general of how it started, and do something as well, stemming from the first time we ever met on stage. But yeah, we want to do a Tunnel Rat one, and then it's about the reverberation that God used us, and then how it affected the world. That one album, that one way of thinking, that one mentality, how it touched the world. And then now we have gospel battle rappers, Christian battle rappers, bro. So yeah. I'm like, okay, I appreciate that. But we didn't just start doing battle rapping. We've been doing this our whole career. Since we started, we've been battle rappers. So this is propaganda has mastered the art of getting as close as we can to a pop record. It's the closest thing we can. Other than that, you're going to get the same thing you got, 35 years ago, just better.
Yeah. At the end of the day, what will be the Tunnel Rats' legacy?
We failed more than we succeeded. Maintained our faith, even in the time of storm. Remained unified, not uniform. And finished. We were bound to the call, and we finished, whatever that means. We finished.
Wow. Powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, this is the legendary Dax Reynosa. Tunnel Rats all day, every day. I want to thank this man for his time. And go on YouTube right now. Search We on Top. If you need the record and it's okay with him, I will send it to you, DJs, of course, because I made a 8-part intro of the record. But definitely support this record wherever you can get it. And if you're a longtime TR fan like myself is, like my brother is, y'all ain't seen nothing yet. Y'all have not seen nothing yet. Dax, thank you for your time, my brother. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. I definitely would love to have all of you come back as a collective. And in closing, please try to get New Breed on a record. Just for
I love them so much. I mean, something. So I don't want to pressure them, or my presence pressures them. Even if I call them just to see how they're doing, they think I'm going to ask them to be on an album, and it's not. I just want to maybe go chill with them. But tell your battle guys to call me up, hit me up, and let's see what we can do.
Oh man, absolutely. Yeah, Dax. So I have your number already. Let me get your email address. And I need your home address because I want to send you some gear from my clothing line for you and all the Tunnel Rats. If y'all don't mind, I'd love to send you some complimentary stuff.
Absolutely.
All right, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dax Reynosa, founder and creator of the Tunnel Rat organization. Thank you so much, Dax, for your time, brother. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Sign off, everyone. We're done. Yes, sir. Rap Sheet Podcast, where creators and culture meet, comes to a wrap.